think we're live. We're live on the interwebs. Live on the interwebs. Okay. We have signal to the mains. I think we're live, folks. We're definitely on. Let's see. We're on Facebook and YouTube. And let's just make sure here that we're on Twitter. Yeah. Okay. How's everyone doing? We got some beats happening, as we always do. What do we got? What can we do today? We're having a little fun. We got some rhythm. Benny Rodriguez. What's up, my friend? You doing all right, Benny? Sabina, how are you? Good to see everyone. You know, just chilling out on a Monday. You know, there's so many things to a little yerba mate. Simple little beat here. Let's change it up. Having a little fun there with some little live soundtrack while we get people stop by. How are you today? So tell me what you had today for Meatless Monday. Let's try to kill the audio on that. What's up, Benny? Elizabeth Levoisier Casapula, how are you? I know you've been growing some tomatoes. All right, we're gonna fade the beats out there. How are you, folks? Just another Meatless Monday. How are you? And today I wanted to talk about a few things, but one of my focuses is Mexican food and how amazing Mexican food is. Let's fix our volume here. Check 1, 2. Let's split the difference. There we go. That's a little better, right? My producer says fix the volume. There we go. So Mexican food. Who loves Mexican food? Right? Everyone. But you know, this is Meatless Monday Meetup. Just a little slice of the day, a little slice of the week to talk about something other than the regular tsunami of news. Of course, I always tie this in with some news about what's happening out there in the animal slaughter is kind of the blunt way to put it, but the meat production, the production lines, these essential workers who are suffering quite badly. They are amongst the most impacted of essential workers, and I'm urging people on a weekly basis to please, you know, do some research on that, look that up, It's very public information. Um, it's very sad information because it shows that in order to have very cheap meat, in order to have very cheap chicken and beef and turkey and things like that, um, in the United States, um, we cut a lot of corners. We do a lot of deregulation. We do a lot of there's a lot of underreporting right now. There's a big story on about one of the big chicken um, conglomerates out of I think it's Arkansas or Nebraska. I think it's Arkansas. Big conglomerate where they're actively suppressing reports. They're stopping reports coming out about the COVID blow-ups, the infections, and the deaths. There's a mounting amount of deaths in these factories. So what does this have to do with Meatless Monday? Well, everything, because it's one of the things we do with a plant-based diet is vote with our dollar. And you can vote locally. Go to a local farm market. We're lucky we have two farm markets that we can walk to. One's about a 10-minute walk, and another one would be about a 25-minute walk. And many of us live in communities now where there's farm markets or just even a little farm stand. So I urge people to support that because that's your most direct way to vote with your dollar, keeping some money locally, keeping the local economy going. You're helping out your carbon footprint because even if you drive over to this farm market, you would be driving to a supermarket normally to get that food that came from California or Peru or Canada or Florida or something, And we will always have that kind of international commerce, but if you can take a bite out of it, that's always good. So that's why I always bring up some of these food supply issues and not only supporting local food, but looking at what food we are supporting. Is it as pesticide free as we can get? Synthetic pesticides. I know there's natural pesticides. Can we pick those as much as we can? Can we pick organic food, certified organic food, as often as we can? Can we look into worker conditions and whether something's certified free trade and all these things? I've been looking at those things for over 30 years, just being in natural foods retail. And there's a real impact. There's a lot of these cooperative farms now, especially in places in Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, where it really has made an impact in some of those countries that have a much tougher economic picture for the independent farmers and the people in rural areas, when all of a sudden they can get a premium price for organic coffee or organic papayas or what have you, avocados, organic tomatoes, whatever it might be. So we can support stuff on a couple different levels. Locally, if we're supporting stuff that's imported across the country, let's have it be the best we can. And then that leads back to what I was saying. If we're going to consume flesh, let's really, really try to be more careful, especially in this time when the folks making sure that your chicken and your beef is dirt cheap are suffering. So that's something we talked about last week, and we'll touch base on. So jumping to something that we have to do at least once or twice a day, unless we're fasting, is nourish ourselves. Nutrients, nourishment, food, meals, comidas. Tell me what you had today. We had a Mexican theme lunch, and we'll share some pictures there. Let's see what else. Who's in? Liz, Benny, Sabina. Hello, everyone. Sabina was in the woods looking for mushrooms. None eatable yet, so you're fine. Okay. So you didn't eat any poison ones. Good. Yes, I've had some delicious mushroom dishes in southern Germany, in Bavaria. I had some incredible, I think it was called a farmer's stew or something like that. It was completely vegetarian mushroom kind of thing. at a truck stop. Believe it or not, they had about 6 vegetarian entrees and a salad bar. So I'm always ready to say how wonderful Germany is for eating. So okay, mushrooms. Tony Walmsley, how are you? Decentralization for environmental. Yeah, absolutely. We have to decentralize as much as we can. Local produce, always good. We grow a few things in our yard, and let's share some photos there. So we're at the tail end of this summer's crops, and there's a couple hot peppers and what looks like marijuana growing in the background. It's actually um, bamboo. But yeah, we've been getting these amazing chilies. Look at that. I'll try to zoom in. Oh, man. It's funny because when you're holding something up to the camera, up is down, left is right. So yeah, that's as local as you can get, right? A couple of feet outside the house. And today I was the taco chef. So there is a little taco situation. Yeah, just getting our Mexican on. So that was lunch today. Taco with black beans, which you can't see there underneath. Black beans, fresh avocado, fresh cilantro, fresh pickled jalapeno, fresh habanero, a little bit of lettuce for an old school touch, and some Herdez taco sauce. So that's an example of, so that was lunch today. And again, fresh hot peppers right off. So you can, we haven't grown that much this summer, but yeah, some hot peppers were the deal. So I'm going to focus in a little bit on Mexican food today, but I want to hear what you ate. Mexican food I love, and it is so so easy to be plant-based, to be vegetarian. Actually, and a lot of people don't realize that. If you think about it, if you just take the beef and chicken out, think about everything else that's there, right? A taco made of wheat flour or corn, in this case cassava, beans, black beans, white beans, red beans, refried beans, and yes, you're going to often find those beans with lard, but quite often not. And even being in 2 cities in Mexico is the only place I've ever been. No problem at all finding. They use oil, quite regularly, but certainly in some. I think it's kind of regional too. I think I've found that depending on where the Mexican restaurant is, whether it's Oaxaca or Jalisco or whatever part of Mexico they are, Mexico City, they have different customs, and we forget that. We tend to, think in a monolithic way sometimes. But just like Chinese food, where there's Chinese types of food from north, south, east, and west, Sichuan, the type of food you get in the mountains or in Wuhan or, Beijing. I mean, they're all, you read about these different types of foods. So similar thing, but across the board, you're going to find beans, lots of fresh vegetables like jicama and onions and garlic and lettuces and spinach, tomatoes, of course. So you have all these plant-based things happening. If you just pull the beef and chicken out, you really have the other 12 ingredients. Sometimes people forget that. So very easy cuisine, and a favorite cuisine for many years to eat plant-based. And very quickly you can find, really great vegan food in a Mexican restaurant. All you have to do is ask a couple questions. Do you all use lard in your tortillas and your tortilla chips? Do you use are the beans, refried beans, cooked with lard? Are they? And I have to say, 8 or 9 out of 10 times, it's fine. You do find some places where, you have a problem. So I'm trying to find a picture here of a place we ate in Mexico City, because I want to talk about that a little, but I also want to encourage folks to think about Mexican food and ordering meatless next time you're there. It's so easy to do. Um, like I said, just a quick question: are your beans meatless? And your tacos, and you're in. I get veggie fajitas all the time, where you get all these grilled vegetables, you know, tomatoes, onions, and broccoli, and I asked them to put some habaneros in there with your fajitas and 4 or 5 types of salsa. Again, we don't think about the fact that surrounding a lot of meat in certain cuisines is a plant-based diet. And there's really only one thing to pull out. If you have a chicken surprise platter or whatever it might be in some Mexican place, if the chicken wasn't there, what's the rest of it? Again, just a wonderful cornucopia of vegetables, and if you eat cheese, there's often cheese in there, but easy to not have that. Okay, so before I go to some of those pictures, hey, Scott Fisher. Ward Smith says barbecue jackfruit sliders. I've had barbecue jackfruit. Yeah, never in a slider yet, but yeah, I love jackfruit. That's an amazing, another example of, it's funny because I went for decades thinking about how some of these plant-based things are simulating animal flesh or animal muscle. And I just about 4, 5, 6 days ago, I started thinking, wait a minute, the plant world and plant existence on planet Earth for the length of time, the amount of billions of species, there's more plants actually, and the infinite textures and types of plants there are, and the different makeup of all the different plants, where you have things that we think of as, oh, that's that mushroom, that's kind of, wow, it's almost like chicken, or so you have chicken of the woods, or you have the lobster tail mushrooms. You have these things from the plant and fungus world that are reminiscent of meat or flesh or muscle. And then I started thinking, wait, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe a lot of these animals are genetic expression of textures in the plant world, because the plant world has had these textures for far longer time and far more diversity. So yeah, it's always great when you find something like jackfruit or breadfruit or the different mushrooms, or ackee. If you've never had Jamaican staple ackee, oh my God, please do. It's incredible. It's something between a texture of ripe avocado and scrambled eggs, somewhere in between there. And it's from a tree. You just saute it in the pan with garlic and onions and stuff, and you have this incredible, protein-based sort of thing. But it has a texture that reminds you of eggs. So yeah, Ward, that reminds me. Yeah, jackfruit's another one of those things. There's so many things in the plant world where you have them, and it's like, oh, yeah, there it is, spaghetti squash. Texture of something that humans invented later on. Very interesting. Tony had falafels for lunch. Yum, that's awesome. I don't miss much from the on this pandemic because I'm away most of the year. And I'm wearing, in tribute to that, wearing my Yes shirt. My bosses are Yes. I work for the band Yes, and we're out of work. So, in honor of that, in honor of my boss, Steve Howe, I'm having a cup of hot tea, and got my Yes shirt on. But I don't miss that much because I travel so much. It's great to be home still. It's not great worrying about money and struggling along with unemployment and stuff. But it's I miss New York City and going to Mamoon's Falafel. Oh my God, Mamoon's. That is the greatest. Mamoon's Falafel, for those of you who know, if you know, you know. I mean, I know people that visit from the Middle East and they go to Mamoon's because it's just the bomb. So yeah, let's detour on some Mamoons there, Tony. Let's look at some Mamoons for a minute. I really miss that. Every time we're in New York on tour, we go to Mamoon's. So here's Mamoon's for those of you who may or may not know. We go to, oh, this is the locations. So we've been to, oh, there's one in Georgia. Wait a minute. I think I'm going to end the show early and drive down. Hey, look at that. There's a Mamoon's in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, well, well. Denny Wally, did you know that? But we usually go to the one up in Connecticut, or there's a couple in New Jersey. But here is Mamoon's. And if you've ever seen it on Mcdougall Street in New York. Oh, look at that. They're expanding. So if you look at that, there it is, folks. That's like the holy grail of falafel. And for ages, there was just that one on Mcdougall Street. Or is it Mcdougall Street? Sullivan Street. One of those. And just look at it. It's about 10 feet across. And you can see the line coming out. Sometimes the line goes down the street. But right next door, for you fans of classic movies, is Cafe Reggio, which has those epic scenes in The Godfather. Yeah, Cafe Reggio, right next door. So historic spot. And so there you have Mamoon's. But if you don't know falafel, any of you folks, if you don't live, it's funny. There's places in America I just have not seen falafel because if you don't have, a Mediterranean, Middle Eastern vibe, if you don't have some folks in that town, which is hard to believe anywhere in America, but yeah, you go to some places you don't find a good falafel. So let me tell you, Mamoon's is just ridiculous. I mean, look at that sandwich. Is that their shawarma or their falafel? Yeah, it's the falafel, just split apart. I can't tell. Maybe it's their shawarma, but they have both, and they both look the same. You got to make sure you get the right one. But yeah, look, one of my favorite cuisines. When you end up with a plate like that, folks, wow, look at that. You've got some rice and falafels, some nice fresh salad, some baba ganoush, some dolmas, grape leaves there. Good stuff. So if you're in New York, definitely go to Mamoon's. I mean, I've had falafel in Turkey, I've had falafel in Israel, and I tell you, Mamoon's is right up there. It is, it's top notch. It's the real stuff. Okay. Oh, look at that. There's Rachel Ray visits Mamoon's. Well, thanks to you folks. I now can watch this later on. I know a couple of these guys because they used to run the New York one. Okay, cool. So there's our little falafel detour. Let's go back to Mexican food. Mexico City and vegan food. We'll come back to that in a second. I know you're probably going, what? How's there vegan food in Mexico? So we had falafel. Scott Fisher, hey man, you had today the Dr. Mcdougal's microwave soup and some hummus and mini bell peppers. Okay, pretty, simple as you said, functional. Dr. Mcdougal, well, what a hero. That guy, he's still out there doing it, and he's, Dr. Mcdougal is a very famous plant-based doctor. If you've never heard of him. He's got several books out and lots of lecture tapes and videos and things like that. Over since the 80s, I think I started hearing his name. What a positive and wonderful guy, and he has a company. So if you should find that in any supermarket. Dr. Mcdougal. I usually see it's different soups and things like that. John A. McDougall, 73 years old, Michigan State University College of Human Medicine. That's interesting, as opposed to animal medicine. But he did, yeah, the Mcdougall Plan was his big book for helping people with heart disease. You know, and you know, he's one of those important figures where he talked a lot about just a plant-based diet and kind of a late 70s, 80s style, which was a little more carb heavy than what things have evolved to. But nevertheless, and he was criticized a lot because he was very low fat. He always mentioned low fat, low fat, low fat. And what he meant by that, of course, is low saturated fat, and animal fat, and dairy fat, and hydrogenated vegetable fats, you know, margarine and all these things. He wanted people to get away from those. But, you know, I think maybe in hindsight, you know, he didn't couple that with a big push for really good plant fats, avocados, coconuts, things like that. But through the years, like anyone, he's adjusted his picture on things. But what a great guy. He's done a lot, and being a doctor, he's able to focus for people on specific things like arthritis and heart disease, atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, things like that, hypertension. So yeah, it's pretty cool that he's got these products out there, these soups. So yeah, that's another cool thing to look for in the supermarket. I've seen them in every supermarket. And they're just cool to have a couple in the pantry. Yeah, sometimes, some days you're in a hurry, and who the fuck wants to cook, right? That's one of the reasons we're here, is to emphasize how easy it is to go meatless. Wordsmith says, excellent tacos. Yes, tacos can be excellent. Self-made jam for breakfast. That's awesome. Sabina, you make a lot of your own foods, which is wonderful. RB Kratz and Lori, how are you? Indeed, I'm kicking it for my bosses today. And a little sly nod, because in the early 70s, most of the guys in Yes were vegetarian, right? And they even, for one little period of time, they invested in a natural food store or a kitchenette or something. I'm not sure the details. I should find out. But they kind of went in on a business deal on promoting natural foods, natural eating. Early 70s. So a lot of that, it's one of the beautiful things about Yes and John Anderson, especially as the lyrics guy, you know, when he's singing about, you know, compassion and peace and love and, you know, radiating love from the heart and, you know, compassion for living beings and, you know, listening to the earth, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's really cool that he took it all the way to a dietary thing. And so for a minute, all those guys are vegetarian, I think, except Rick Wakeman for a minute. There was a few of them, and then it was just Steve and John and Alan for a little period of time, and then now it's Steve and John are both vegetarian, or pescatarians or whatever. But just wearing this shirt with a little bit of the nod to a band that 50 years ago was talking about ecology and earth issues, and, you know, already talking about overfishing. They have that great song, Don't Kill the Whale. You might know that Yes song, Don't Kill the Whale, which is, you know, more than 40 years ago. They're talking about the horrific and still ongoing cruel and extensive harvesting of the oceans of whales, you know. I think it's down to just Japan now. Maybe Japan, even Iceland has stopped. I don't know. I check in every year or two, and I know the good news is it's less and less and less countries every year. But most recently that I checked, unfortunately, Japan was still whaling. So we keep doing awareness on that. Scott says local Mexican place. Oh, awesome! And they will do vegan options. Yeah, man, so easy to do. Tony says he's allergic to black beans. Wow, I've never heard that. That's interesting. That's a rare allergy. Do you have other allergies? Because usually when it's an odd allergy like that, it's cross-threading with some other ones. Talk to us about that. Do you have allergies to other things, and have you done elimination fasting, where you literally, go down to just nothing but kind of the master cleanse for a couple of days, just like water, lemon juice, and stuff for a couple of days to just zero out and then reintroduce foods. Lacey, hey, how are you? Good to see you. You got to come on the show, Lace. Let's plan that. I snoozed on this week, but I need to have a chef on here like just about every week. Oh my God, with Anya. Well, what's going on here? You should both be on. Do you have some time? We should pull you on today. What do they call lard in Spanish? I forget the name. I always look it up, but gordo de animal. I forget. But animal fat. I always look it up before I go into a place. I do that wherever I am, by the way. If I'm in Poland or Italy or Japan, you you arm yourself with a couple words in the local language, and you're in. It's very simple. Grasa animal is fat, animal fat. That's for Raymond. But vegetariana, you can say that, and you can ask. You can kind of ask if it's all from plants. Let's see. Manteca de cerdo. Manteca de cerdo. That's another word for avocados. Yes, we love them. Avocados, guacamole, black bean breakfast. If the chicken wasn't there, it could cross the road. Yes, very good. Manteca de cerdo. There we go. Thank you, Tony. I saw that after I looked it up. Yeah, Lacey Mamoons. I know. Not much I miss about New York, but there's about 10 things, but that's one. Took my partner there. Yeah. Grasa. Yeah. Cafe Reggio is a song from Shaft. That's right, and it's in the movie Shaft also, Raymond. Famous street there. And my other half and chef, Robin Gelberg, is here. Coronavirus or just a cough? You have to ask, right? Tony says you can buy whale meat in Norway. That's tragic. Yeah, I thought so. I thought Norway, Iceland, Japan. I can't remember. Let's see. Okay, cool. So yeah, keep sharing your lunches with us, folks. I've only seen a couple of you. Tell me what you had for Meatless Monday. Again, it was kind of Mexican taco day here. We do that quite often, and we love these tacos lately from this company, Siete, which I shared with y'all some time ago, but I'll do that again. So Siete is this incredible company run by a Mexican-American family who discovered that their daughter was allergic to gluten, which is very common. Let's see. So they found out their daughter was or is allergic to gluten, and I think she had a couple other allergies. And they said, let's try to develop our traditional staples with something other than corn and wheat. So here's their website. Okay. Bam, bam. So please check out Siete. You can find it in most supermarkets, natural food stores. And it's Siete, the number 7 in Spanish. So look at that table of amazing food. And that just kind of emphasizes what I'm talking about, that, you have choices across the board as a vegan, as a vegetarian, as someone, a flexitarian. I heard another name the other day that I forget. but it was a nice word that just saying that you do this once in a while. Um, and you can see in this picture all kinds of wonderful stuff. There's guacamole and Spanish rice and different tacos. So very, very easy cuisine, folks, to experiment. Even if it's just a black bean soup. I mean, wow. Those of you who are afraid of cooking and don't know how to cook, one of the easiest things to do is bean soup, because you can start out with a can of black beans, or actually start out with sauteing a little garlic and onion in a pan with a little olive oil, maybe just a couple drops of sesame oil for some smoky flavor. Just for 2 minutes, just saute some garlic and onion, and then throw a can of black beans in there. And then after that, it's just some salt and pepper, maybe some garlic powder, onion powder. I always use the powdered form of stuff as well as the fresh form. I find that you kind of get a couple different notes from something. In other words, dried garlic is different than marinated garlic, which is different than fresh garlic. And the snobbish kind of thing is, well, I only use fresh garlic. Yes, of course, that's always fantastic, and it's always best to cut something fresh. But to ignore the wonders of dried garlic, powdered garlic, don't snooze on it just because it's not fresh. It's going to add a different note. It's going to add a different flavor, and especially in soups, putting just a touch of different types of spices, you can be creative. So yeah, a can of beans, and then maybe a little fresh cilantro or parsley. If you've got a fresh tomato or a couple cherry tomatoes to throw in there, fantastic. So black bean soup, for those of you who say, well, I don't know how to cook, that's one of your easiest things to do. Let's see. Let's see here. So you can see Benvenidos, yeah, and please check out their page, sietefoods.com. And they developed some tacos. That's what they started out with for their daughter, who they just said, well, let's try this taco. And I think the cassava taco was the first one. They now have these amazing tacos. They have cassava. They have chickpea flour, and they have almond flour for the tacos. And then they have chips. They have tortilla chips made of cassava, from the same cassava tortillas. So take a look at that. And of course, they encourage everyone to use their stuff. So they're showing a meal there with some beef tips or something. But the company itself, everything they make a queso, they make these enchilada sauce, they make salsas, they make some hot sauces. Fantastic. Everything they make plant-based. So here's a chance to support a plant-based company, a minority-owned company, a Latina-owned company. All of these kinds of ideas that we should be thinking about to kind of diversify how we vote with our dollar. Here's I don't know. It's a company that I'm not telling anyone what to do, but I just a recommendation. I endorse them very heartily. I haven't tried everything they have, but the tortilla chips, the tortillas, have not tried the taco shells yet. Have had the hot sauces, which are kind of mild. They're nice. They're very flavorful. And yeah, pretty cool situation, because you can especially the tacos. It's a real great way to give your body a break on grains, which we eat too much of. So yeah, they got a bunch of cool things here. So there we have it. So that's Siete, and I'm going to come back with some stuff about Mexican food in Mexico City as well. We got a lot of pictures today. So let's see here. we're also going to have some special guests in a little bit. Let's see. Some old friends and excellent vegan chefs are going to jump on and talk a little bit about the state of things on the left coast for the plant-based folks right now in the midst of a lockdown. Okay. Okay, let's see. 2 coughs and you're out. Yeah. Mamoon's in New Haven is even better than New York. That's a toss-up, I'd say. I've been to both about 100 times. That's Bassam. I'd say, yeah, they're different. New Haven's great because you can sit there. It's always a lot of room, and it feels a little bit more like a restaurant. But in New Haven, where we went every time we played Toads, often out of lentil soup, which is a fucking crime. What the hell is that? So that's really problematic. And there's something about the New York City vibe. I mean, you're on the city street, and the cars are, right a few feet behind you, and the hustle and bustle of the village, and the energy of people, the line of people. Everyone's really excited, and there's always someone who is a tourist, and they've just been told about this place, and there's something about the New York City one that I'm going to go to bat for. That is just amazing, the energy of it. And I think their stuff is a couple clicks fresher, You're just watching the guy. What's cool about the New York one, too, is the guys are crowded behind. It's usually 4 or 5 guys. Sometimes, once in a while, I've seen a woman back there. But everyone's in a little, it's the size of 4 phone booths. Some of you might be too young to know what a phone booth is. And you're watching one dude making the falafel, like mixing it with the dry chickpea mix with the herbs and everything, and then and he's another guy's putting it into hot oil. You're watching this happen, and then someone else's job is just keeping the vegetables going, chopping carrots. Chopping tomato, and there's a big thing filled with lettuce. There's another guy just dishing out soup, and they have meat there, of course, too. There's another guy tending to the shawarma thing that's spinning. So you really you order your sandwich and you kind of watch it happen. They most times you watch them throw 20 falafel into the oil, and yours is going to be one of those. So that thing comes out of the oil, and you can't eat it. It's sizzling hot, and don't get me started. So good stuff. So can Rona be transferred via a Zoom Facebook session? That's a great question. We're trying. Jeffrey Moser, what's up? How are you, buddy? Sahadi's opened a new location in Industry City. Wow, nice. A mashup of baba hummus, tabbouleh, and some Dave's awesome bread. That's great. That's awesome. Ann Everett, okay, you're meatless today. Pop-Tarts, red grapes, lemon twist hummus. Was that all together? Because that's interesting mix, dipping Pop-Tarts into hummus. When you're a kid, right, you do that kind of mixing and matching. But okay, I know these were not at the same time. Tomato and coffee, weird combo. Miso soup and raw baby spinach for lunch. That sounds good. I haven't had miso in several days, and I feel it. I've been a little off. I've been off center, folks. And then I threw my back out the other day. Much better now, though. I can do the Snoop Dogg move again. So. All right, my back is feeling better. Love the Drake. Okay. uh, um, the Drake. Is that a Seinfeld reference? And oh, great! Here's my guests. Let's bring them in. I've got a special surprise guest today.
We're zooming.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Hey, Lace. Do I? I oh
Ah!
my God! Hey, how are you? What a nice surprise. Where are you, first of all? Because you live in different cities.
We're together at my mom's house in Marin.
Marin. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we have some special guests here. Old friends of mine. On the right, we have Chef Lacey Scher and Chef Anya Segefka. Did I say it right?
That's a good combo.
Um, what's how should you be introduced, actually? So
I mean,
get
I
that
guess
right.
Segefka's my birth last name, but Anya Aditi.
Anya Aditi. There we go. Two chefs, two creatives, two people I've eaten hundreds of meals from. How are you today?
Good.
Doing well?
Smoky. It's
So-
smoky here.
Still, huh?
We're getting smoked out.
It just today got smoky. Yeah.
I
Yep,
thought
we've
it
had
was okay.
There's some fresh fires nearby.
Two days of smoke so far. So
Okay. So, well, we got some people watching here who won't know who you are, so I'll do a quick introduction. And let's see if I got some. Hey, there's Jeff Moser. Jeff Moser. Jeff Moser's there. But folks, so we've talked a lot about that. I was in the natural foods retail for over 15 years, and for over 10 of those years, my late partner Sherry and I had a natural food store called Second Nature. And and I met both of these wonderful humans because of that experience, because of Second Nature. And I think I met you both. You were teenagers, first of all.
Definitely. No, I was.
I wasn't.
No?
I was 19.
No, I was in my
19?
20s.
Yeah.
1995, you were already 20, Blaze?
I was 22.
1995. Okay.
95?
Okay.
Wait, no.
No way. Azara was born in 97.
95. How old are you in 95?
Well, 97, I was 20. Yeah, maybe you were.
I was 22. Yeah.
She's a
Okay,
little
okay.
older.
I
Okay.
am.
Okay. That's, yeah. Well, you still don't look much over 22, either of you. So I see Anya's got a little bit of some silver happening, which is
A
quite
lot of
distinguished.
silver.
Yeah, that's
I
fantastic.
tip it in black so that I can frame the aging.
That's awesome. Well done. So I met both of them very young, let's say, and they have both had just incredible journey as chefs, as caterers, as cooks, as teachers. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing right now, because Anya, do you live in LA usually, and you're just in the Bay Area
Yeah.
for a while? Okay. What's happened? Yeah, go ahead.
What's happened where?
Well, what's happened because I know you for years now you've been doing vegan, plant-based, macrobiotic, all kinds of different plant-based private cooking, right? For all kinds of people in Los Angeles. What's is that still going on under lockdown? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, I have a steady client. Like I tend to work with high-level business executives as a private chef in their personal homes for the last
Right.
like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I am technically still doing that. There was like a period of like, pause for COVID, and I have to get tested on the regular. But I see food like an art, and that every piece of that is like sculptural, and I've always worked in the healing arts too. And so I'm transitioning from food and now working more physically on bodies.
That's great.
And sculpting and taking people out of like breaking up fascia and taking people out of rotations and compensations. And that's kind of my new thing. But food is a passion that I love so much. And I was one of the first people in LA to bottle almond milk in glass jars with Madagascar vanilla bean and dates and fleur de sel like 20 years ago. And like,
that's great.
Erewhon, which is like now the big booming, like raw food, like, hub of the world.
Sure.
Back then it was just still kind of like crunchy granola 70s style. And now it's like, very hipster, cutting edge, modern. They have everything. I mean, you walk in there, you're gonna like buy anything, and like that's $300 out of your pocket.
Right. No, well, that's one of the things I want to ask both of you. Like, how amazing that where we are today, and we'll talk about that, especially the dairy stuff in a minute. So so that's a cool snapshot. So you're working. You have one big major client, but kind of segueing into some other stuff. And now Lacey, some of you folks may know Lacey has had a couple restaurants in her career, but some of you in the New Jersey area might remember Down to Earth, which was the vegan restaurant you co-owned with Gail Doherty, who has another couple restaurants out there. But then you had, for many years, right there in the Bay Area, Encuentro, right? That was the name of your place. And is what's going on right now? Is Encuentro still a pop-up? I mean, obviously everything's,
The last almost 4 years, I was doing a ticketed pop-up, a vegan ticketed like prefix kind of pop-up, really fun, changing seasonal menus. Since October of last year, so it's been 1 year,
right?
Just about. I have been subleasing my restaurant to a vegan food delivery service called Planted Table, and they're a woman-run company, and they deliver everything in glass containers. So they're working on zero waste. And so they have my space right now. I am just cooking privately, and I'm cooking for a retreat this weekend in Grass Valley. For a yoga sound healing retreat. And I've been making cakes, a lot of special cakes for people, vegan cakes. And I'm kind of working on a cookbook, which is taking me a really long time. I have one cookbook from Down to Earth.
Right.
And it's called You Won't Believe It's Vegan, the one from Down to Earth, which it was called the Down to Earth cookbook, but when the publisher took the cookbook, they changed it.
Yeah, and that's kind of a cool name, because that is a thing still for people that
totally. It's just a little less personal, but it's still people are still buying it. I still get a check for about $50 a year.
Wow. Okay, so it's a trickle. So, if people should go look for that if it's available. And of course, I see you still have the Encuentro website. So I guess for events and things like that, that's where people can look.
Yeah, and I still have my mailing list. And actually, with your sister, I'm going to be doing a bake sale. We had a bake sale against racism this summer together. She made delicious crackers, and it was all vegan bake sale, and all the money we donated to 2 different organizations. And we're going to be doing another bake sale, and this one is more centered around equity and the vote.
Okay, that's fantastic.
October 10th. And that will be it goes on sale next week.
Okay.
Beginning of the week, we start taking orders. We only take orders for like 3 days, because it's a lot of work for just people doing it by themselves.
Sure.
But we're gonna have a couple bakers this time, and they're all gonna be selling vegan baked goods, and all the money's gonna go to different charities, voting rights charities.
For promoting voting. Okay, that's great.
And also for promoting, other organizations that are community-based in Oakland. So,
fantastic. So, and can people, if people go to Encuentro, Oakland.com, can they reach you through the contact there, or?
Oh yeah, and you can reach
accurate.
me through Instagram. I still have Encuentro Oakland Instagram page. I don't post that much. I'm from, I'm a little bit older, and I'm not to say, because here you are. I'm feel like sort of a Luddite at times, but
It's true. Here I am. I'm 55 and I'm broadcasting right now on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at once.
Oh, I have to say I'm really loving Twitch because I'm super into electronic music.
Oh,
so
I know you are.
I've been just like staying up super late watching DJs or dancing to DJs.
There's some live electronic music for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta check out your Twitch page.
There we go. Yeah, I haven't been doing enough electronic performances lately, but I'm trying to get back into that. So people can reach you on the Instagram page or the Encuentro Oakland.
And I do private cooking, but at this time I'm, kind of working on keeping my son doing his schooling, and I'm with my mom she's an older person, so just kind of been doing that, collecting my energy and letting these other ladies do their thing and kind of supporting them in that. And I'm hoping to open something in Marin, but it's probably going to take about another year.
Sure. Okay, good. So we'll have you back on when you're going to do that.
Oh yeah, but working on the cookbook. That's the other thing. Very slowly working on the next cookbook for Encuentro. So it's going to have all kinds of new recipes and recipes from the pop-ups as well, like special menu ones where it has things taken off the pop-ups, because we did a lot of really special fun stuff during those pop-ups. So let me see if I have any questions here, because folks, we got two incredible chefs, creatives here. So if you got some questions, we always talk about essential things that are affordable, that are important to have in the vegan pantry. And I always talk, olive oil and tahini and sesame seeds and miso, and we have an ongoing list. Someone here suggesting marigold bouillon because they do a vegan version. How about that? But maybe you can say, each tell me 3 things that have to be in a plant-based pantry. What would you say? Because we're always trying to give folks ideas here. Wow. I'm a big fan of nutritional yeast. Never goes out of style for me. And also, my favorite broth mix is called Satanbacher, and it's like virtually free of everything. So, soy, all these different allergens. It does not contain any of them. It is hard to get. That's the only thing. And Whole Foods used to carry it. They don't carry it anymore.
We used to have it.
Yeah, that's where I got started on it. And so I just order it online.
Okay. My friend, I have a friend here, Sabina, who's in Germany, and she always comes on the show. And I'm sure she knows Satanbacher. It's because it's a German brand. And it's funny you say that, because Sabina just commented that she makes her own powdered stock. And I think she uses mushrooms and different things. But she's always weighing in on some great stuff that you can get from Germany. So Satanbacher, nutritional yeast, which Satanbacher probably has some in there. And what's your third kind of, just off the top of your head?
I like, I have 2 kind of like, tamari, which is gluten-free, and then coconut oil. I keep a lot of coconut oil in my house, even though people are like, divided on it. It's kind of like, people are like, don't do it anymore. But for dessert making stuff, I think it's pretty good.
It's incredible. My take on that, and that's one of the interesting things too. I've known you both, 25 years, but we've seen these trends come and go, and then there's this article and that article, and we kind of just go down. We just stay pretty calm about it. We're like, just eat plants and just be positive, and make sure give a little thought to food groups. Like, you can't live on just dates, you can't live on just kale, but you have beans and kale and fruits and sea vegetables and sunflower seeds, and you have a real cornucopia of good fats, avocados, and we don't even think about it, right? These articles happen and we're just going like, whatever, folks. Because coconuts, for instance, people have eaten those for millennia. They appear in every culture south of the equator for centuries. So how could there be something bad? Especially when all the folks in those cultures, predominantly, until they got modern processed food, have excellent heart health, excellent skin, excellent blood pressure, just all these things. And we're sitting here arguing about, so yeah, I heartily salute that coconut. Anya, what's a handful of things? I won't even limit it to 3, but yeah, 4 or 5 things. What are a handful of things that you have to have in your plant-based pantry?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I've never really digested tofu and seitan that much. So my thing for like vegan plant-based food is like flavor is really important to me, and fresh herbs. So I think if anybody can grow or get like fresh herbs and basil, and I mean, that's what makes the feeling of diversity for me. Like people are like, well, what do you eat? It's like, well, I can eat the same thing almost over again and again, but I like the things that like make stuff pop in different ways. And so that, and I feel like a really high quality salt is really good, even though I know you're talking about like things that aren't expensive, but because you're only using like even Himalayan salt these days, or that salt that comes out of Utah.
Right.
The real good salt. Those are high quality salts too. There's a lot of minerals, but a black salt, but a fleur de sel, it's just like, it's a high note. It just, whatever you're eating, if you steam it, I like to like not necessarily, I don't like to fry things, but just like a quick steam on something and you're done with it, and you put like a nice high quality like oil on it with a little pop of salt. You don't even have to cook it in salt. Then you have a little salt, that kind of thing is like, I absolutely have to have in my pantry. And definitely a good oil. It sounds like you've talked about those things before. There's such a wide range of oils to get your hands on. And for me, for sure, because like I'm saying, where am I getting my protein from? I'm crazy over spirulina. I just have jars of spirulina like this big. I know it's not for everybody, but if you mix it, if you get like acclimated to stevia, and you get the way they make stevia these days is so much better than it was back in the day. Like it took me 25 years to get an acquired taste for that. And now I love it. I can't do without it. So like a little spirulina with like some raspberry electrolytes from Ultima. They use like a really nice like formulation. And then you just mix that up. I have a little whizzer. I used to like have to like do this tedious thing with my like spirulina. I'd always get chunky on my spoon. Just get one of those latte mixers. You put it right in your cup. You go bzzz. And it's just like done, put a little stevia in there. It's kind of sweet. It's got some fruit, and then you're jazzed. You just have the green. Because for me, vegan plant-based stuff is like green power. That's the way
absolutely chlorophyll.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it. So okay, great. So that's a couple of good things. Nice herbs. Yeah, that transforms everything. I was just giving people a simple black bean soup recipe. And that's another one. You can make your bean soup differently each time, just with a different herb. Right, you can. So
gotta have cilantro.
So I
love or hate cilantro for some reason.
I know.
I love cilantro.
Otherwise, and the seeds of cilantro are of course coriander.
Coriander. Umi plum vinegar.
Yeah,
I was thinking about
umeboshi plums.
Yeah, umeboshi.
Yeah, that's another staple. Sure, I finally found some of that recently. It's been a while, but
balancing.
Love that.
Balances you out when you feel like too much, too high.
If you're craving sugar, just have some umi plum.
Too much sugar, just have a little. Or if you're hungover,
sure,
some water and drink it.
That's great. We talk a lot on the show about Japanese cuisine. So we do talk about miso a lot and umeboshi. I don't know. Did either of you catch about 3 weeks ago? I had the miso master company on, and they showed how to make miso. Okay, I'll send you a link. I should just edit just that little 10 minutes and put it up again. But I'll send you a link. But that was really good. And they're right here in Asheville, and they had the guy who's the miso master. He went and studied in Japan for a while and stuff. But they showed like these big vats of soybeans and how they ferment them, and the koji. So it was really cool. And from that, they get tamari, which and you love. So yeah, that's a great list. And hopefully folks caught all of that. And those are some real good, affordable things to have.
Hey, Dre, I have a recipe for something that's really cheap and easy to make if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll give it to you. Let me see. Let me just see if I can find it here.
If you can you drop it in the, can you text it to me or? Or either way,
Yeah,
I
I'll
can
text
put it.
you
I
the
put it in the
photograph.
chat.
I'll text it to. Well, it's on this little handwritten piece of paper.
Okay.
So. But chickpea flour. People should have chickpea flour because you can do a lot with chickpea flour.
That's
because that's
awesome.
how you can make eggs. You know, like
Absolutely.
if you want a vegan egg. So
You
this
can,
is a recipe for a little vegan egg omelet thing.
Okay.
Just simple.
So you can do a
I'll
couple
text
things. You can hold it up to the screen for about 20 seconds, because then it'll. People can.
This is not gonna be. No one's gonna understand this.
It's gonna be backwards.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you before we're done. Yeah, there you go. Take a picture and send it, and I'll. So, okay, let me go to some questions here. So, Bassam says, "Where in Marin?" Well, yeah, I think by now you heard us talk about her place in Quentro is in Oakland, just about a block or two from what's the club again?
Yoshi's.
Yoshi's that I've worked at a few times. But the website, I have it on the screen, EncuentroOakland.com.
Yeah, send me an email.
I'll put that in the chat. And then Adam Bernstein says, hello, down to earth. So you have an old down to earth fan on the on the chat. Someone's mentioning, Jack, how are you? Mentioning broken cell wall chlorella. Yeah, chlorella's great too. I love all of those things. I'm with Anya, and I know Lacey loves it too. Spirulina, baby, man, it's. And you know, when I snooze on it and don't have it for a couple of days, I can feel it. Like, you know, like my energy is off. I'm a little. The amount of chlorophyll and iron and protein, as we know, we talk about this almost once a week. Spirulina comes up because we talk about shakes and things. But it's close to a perfect food, just like eggs or mother's milk. You know, whether or not we eat eggs, we can talk about them and say, hey, they're perfect. They have everything in there. And I've gone in and out of eating eggs, but just on the fact, eggs are incredible. And so is mother's milk, because it's going to raise a baby mammal. It's got everything in it. But people often snooze on number 3, which is spirulina. It's true, you know, if you really go study it, folks, and I urge you, as I tell people every week, don't just listen to what I'm saying, do your research. We live
and go slow, because it will move the bowels and detox you. And
that's true. If
people have never done it, you got to start really little. And I mean, I can do like 2 huge tablespoons, like 3 times, 4 times a day. But sometimes just starting even a quarter teaspoon will like flush someone out, which is good.
That's true.
Probably need it, you know.
Anything that flushes you out, that means you need it to be flushed out. Exactly. Right. But no, it's I love it. I take the tablets now, and I'll just pop like
that's easy when you're traveling.
6 or 8 of them. So chlorella. So someone today had garlic rosemary mashed potatoes. That sounds great. Onion, broccoli, apple salad. And he got it from Dean's in
Chicago. Dean's.
Yeah, Dean gets a mixed response there. He's a mixed bag. He's okay, I guess, but the place is interesting. A new place in Red Bank called Red Rock used to be Brannigan's, and they have the Impossible Burger. Did you know about that, Lace? The new place in Red Bank?
Next to Brannigan? Brannigan's?
It used to be Brannigan's.
Oh, that's right by Gale.
So they have the Impossible
That was
Burger.
that Irish pub place.
Yeah, that's right next door to Gale.
Okay.
Karma.
So
my partner.
This guy.
Partner.
That's right. This guy Jack is saying he had the Impossible Burger for the first time and could not believe. Exactly, and that's the key to that. What do you all think about that? This explosion of. I mean, I saw a commercial last night. I was watching an SVU marathon. I love Law and Order SVU.
I know.
I've reignited my love for that show. So just watching it, and but a commercial came on last night for Beyond Meat, and it showed, because they got sausages, they got burgers, they now have the ground beef. Give me your thoughts a little bit on this. I mean, it's amazing, right? The explosion. What are your thoughts?
Well, do you want to go first, or I can say what I think. I think it's awesome that there are more people out there eating vegetarian, vegan diet and plant-based diet in this world. And I think it's amazing. And if that's going to get them to, a cleaner kind of diet, that would be great. I think there's a lot of processing that goes into it, and that's kind of not really my background. And
Sure.
as far as food, I mean, it's fun to eat seitan sometimes. It's fun to eat these things sometimes, but me personally, don't make that part of my regular diet, just because I don't feel that good if I eat too much food that's really processed, whether it be, protein or junk food. So it's like, everything, you got to temper everything. And balance everything. I think it's incredible that you can go to a fast food restaurant, any fast food restaurant pretty much, and get some kind of plant-based substitute for a hamburger. I think that is fantastic. Like, my mind is blown.
In our lifetime.
And I mean, and there's so many things that I feel that way about, especially in the natural foods world. Just the processing is the thing that concerns me. I think people tend to go a little bit overboard, when they get started, and then it's just a learning process. So I think eventually people will figure that out when they are like, maybe my belly doesn't feel so good right now. Maybe I need to eat more salad. It's just, we got to be able to, kind of put that in there too, because you do need to eat live food and raw vegetables and real, just straight from the source, far from the box kind of food. So, and that's the cheapest food there is. You're not going to be paying for the packaging. You're not going to be paying for, the garbage pickup, the plastic, extras. All the stuff.
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
So it's like, just keep it simple. Basically, that's my feeling about those kind of things. But it is fun to not be excluded,
Yes, and to see it grow.
Yeah, to be able to have your burger or your hot dog or your whatever when everybody else is having theirs, and they might get curious and try it and be like, whoa, this is just like meat. This tastes just like a McDonald's hamburger.
It's groundbreaking, and I think, as you said, that it's everywhere, right? Arby's, Wendy's, whatever. Yeah.
Wendy's,
everyone. Yeah. Anya, what's your gut reaction to this explosion across the board?
Well, I felt like before I was saying that I'm into spirulina because I didn't want to be a joy kill, but so I agree with everything that Lacey is saying. And I think it is amazing to have a meat eater eat one of those burgers and be like, I would eat this. I will eat this, because then you can go out to dinner with someone like that who isn't like breathing down your neck and judging you and be like, it's really, that part is really amazing. And I like how, the people that I cook for, I was kind of like Vegan Wednesdays kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it's not like they're 100% on a plant-based, but they recognize that that's something that they need to incorporate into their diet. And so like this also being a bridge to like people recognizing like eating large quantities of meat, but I think I don't know who's listening here, and if people are transitioning or everybody here
it's a mix. It's a mix. Yeah,
definitely your vegetables are really important. And some of the kids in the families, and I don't know how many people have children here, but even if you only love broccoli, just eat broccoli every day. If you only love beans, string beans, just like, if that's what you eat and that's what you like, don't worry about it. Like if your kids only want to eat cucumbers, just as long as there's some fresh, live plant, energy coming in that way. And I think, I'm more into kind of the gluten-free thing. So I think that what better time to be alive than now? Like the best products in the world are like on our shelf. And
amazing.
It's true, it's expensive. You don't have to buy all the pre-made products.
Right.
And we are spoiled in California because we have a lot of farmers markets and freshness all year round. But hopefully we just get to be a good example for others for like what, other people trying to really have a healthy diet. What's possible. There's a lot of options. Doesn't matter what season it is like how to eat whole foods at their highest, harvest point to get like the full nutrition, and just really paying to that, the vitality of that, even if something's dried or canned or like whatever, preserved in glass. And, there's ways to do it and feel sustenance. And like, if you're not eating bread, getting the textures that you need. Like,
Yeah.
what do you really love about food? Like, that's the thing that I think people just eat because they're like, I have to eat something. But when you make food an experience, then it becomes something that isn't about just chowing down and filling yourself, but actually like is this long lasting appeal of relationship while like, getting your plants, washing the vegetables, cutting the vegetables. It can be a lot of work. So, making time to really have relationship with food and understand what do I love or what do I don't like, and really like having a relationship with the family too, because a lot of people have a hard time, getting their needs met or their family's needs. And this is like a big tangent, but this is just where all that stuff goes for me, especially taking care of families who need to eat and want to try to incorporate new ways of, the varieties of their diets, the variables.
That's a great, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, we have Amy's, Amy's who makes all the frozen food.
Yeah, Amy Berliner, right?
Yeah, and they're awesome. And I did some work for them, and they used to come to my restaurant all the time. I think very highly of them.
Yes, amazing people, yeah.
They have opened in Roanoke Park. They opened their fast food restaurant, Amy's Fast Food Restaurant. I mean, it's awesome. And they just opened one in Marin. So,
oh my God, we have to go.
I know. It's like the place that I always want my family to go. And they're like, oh, you want to go to Amy's again?
Yeah, I want to go to Amy's.
But it's awesome. Like, and they make their own burger. It's not,
it's not the one in the...
got some, it's not a Beyond Meat, but
right. There's this black beans.
Oh, what about the Sunshine Burger? Remember that one?
Incredible.
Incredible.
Well, that's the thing. There's a whole spectrum of some of these things. First off, wonderful answers and very inspiring. Hopefully, for people to hear that. And I agree, and that's kind of what I say here most of the time is that it's a yin yang, as most of these things are. It's a mix. We're filled with joy that finally big companies are listening and saying, and that's even an argument within this argument where you have some people, some vegans and plant activists like, oh man, General Mills is making vegan. I hate them. And you kind of go, hang on. This is what we wished for, right? When we were teenagers, you were in the supermarket looking at all these brands and saying, why didn't this company make something vegan? I find the same thing's true, to detract for a second, cleaning products. Like I see Clorox now has green, plant-based, biodegradable. I just saw an ad for All, the detergent, the big detergent. All now has a 99% plant-based, no artificial colors, and so you go, wow, in our lifetimes. And again, you can look at it both ways. You can get angry and say, oh, these big companies, they're jumping in. But that's what we asked for. Yeah. Isn't that what we were screaming 20 years ago? Oh, why don't these companies do anything good? Well, now they are, so it's a funny moment. But I agree with you that, these things are nice. It's great. I always say there's a vegan kid out in the middle of Kansas now who is not feeling, because 10 years ago, forget it, right? Their parents would give them lettuce. Now, at the Walmart, which is where they shop, or at the Kroger.
Yeah.
There it is. Veggie burgers.
Organic whole sections in Walmart.
Whole sections. Incredible.
Crazy.
Incredible.
Their own line, organic line.
It's amazing. So I agree with you that while for us.
The lobbying for organic, though, I mean, that's the thing with these big companies. Can we really trust how they're, with their clout, can take a label and a name and kind of like falsify a image and not
that's a great question.
Carry, we're losing a lot.
That's a great
small,
question. Yes, there is a loss of small companies. At the same time, I met the Berliner family that's the people with Amy's. I met them in probably 1990, when First Health was there. They were tiny. It was just family run, worked out of their home. So that becomes
they're still private. They are still privately held.
That's what I'm saying.
They're not a publicly traded company. So
absolutely, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, it becomes difficult because we support a small company, but then once they become really big, in this case, they're still family owned. Like, so why would So it becomes funny. I just say to people, don't think so much about who owns what and what their views are, even all these things, because you'll go crazy. You'll never find perfection. You won't. And I, for
Oh,
me
but you and
personally,
Sherry were the ones who taught us. You guys were like the auntie and uncles of like taking things off the shelf because there was sugar added to Stonyfield yogurt.
Exactly.
Like you guys, but we got it. It's good to balance, right? That yin yang.
It's balance, and that's a great point. So you respond to the product itself, like you know what I mean. You support the product, because once you start going down to who bought it, who sold it, your head will explode. I think if it's shown to be free trade and organic and non-GMO and all these things, if we support it, the rest sorts itself out. Like you're going to automatically help a better farming condition. You're going to help a better working condition for the most part. You raise a great point. How do we know it's organic? And I've heard that for 30 years. That's always a question. One of the beautiful things about organic is that it's still, I think it's still around 10, or maybe it's gotten to 12% of the market, but it's between 7 and 10% of the market, always growing. And I think what's great about organic is it's so highly competitive that they're all looking at each other. So in other words, if tomorrow morning we started a company, let's say the three of us started a company called Three Vegans, and we had 3 vegans, and we started putting out black beans in a can, and we claim it's organic, and it's not. We're like, whatever, no one's going to know. Within 2 days, there'd be articles about it, because all the other companies are going to say, who's this? 3 vegans? Never heard of them. Let's get a can and test it. Let's, because they're competing with us over here at Hain and Bush Beans and all these other, and so Goya. So there's a very competitive, there's a very competitive situation where the companies kind of spy on each other. They rat each other out. And through my career, I've seen companies that lie, and they get caught usually very quickly, because, and then there's, especially to the three of us, and anyone that eats very natural, you can taste it, right? You can, you can't fool us with non-organic tomatoes after a few canned tries. You go, something's off on this. So that's a great point. But I agree.
They do have groups that do verification, like the non-GMO verification group. That's an outside group, and there's always people who really want to do it and care.
Absolutely. So a couple things. I see, Lacey, you sent me the recipe, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, sorry, it's not a really complete recipe, but it is complete.
That's okay.
In that I could tell you what to do with it.
And what should the name of this recipe?
I guess it's like a vegan omelet. So Andre, you turned me on. Actually, you turned your sister on to the Just Egg.
Just Egg. Yeah, one of us did. I forget. Maybe she.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway,
you told her, and then she told me she had it, and then I told you, oh, your sister just told me, and I just kind of wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't buying into it, because I was like,
You mean after you tried? Oh, before you tried.
No,
yeah. Okay.
No,
go ahead.
Before, and then I got this. It got the seal of approval. Basically. And then
likewise.
Like, let me try this, and I was like, this stuff is amazing. Like
Sick.
It's incredible. But it says there's 8 servings in this jar,
right?
And it's 4.
Honestly. No way. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You can't make one.
Well, that I'd like you to develop. Like, figure out how to make that, because it's mung beans.
No. So this is what I'm telling you. What I just sent you
is
awesome. Basically that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
In the it's so easy and simple.
Okay.
And that you can make an amazing omelet. Just make sure you have a nonstick pan, or that you can get it off the pan, because you want to make sure it cooks all the way. So you mix this stuff up, and you put it down like a pancake, and let the bubbles come up. Like, you start to see the bubbles pop, like you're making a pancake, and then you put some of your filling inside, whatever that may be.
Scallions or whatever.
Yeah, cooked up veggies, some black beans, a little bit of tomato. You don't want it to be overly wet,
right?
On the inside, and then flip it over. Flip it half it over like you're making an omelet. And let that cook for a minute. You can put a lid on top too if you want, if you put some kind of wet stuff inside of there. And then just, get a good spatula, flip that over again, and let it cook just for a little bit longer. And You will freak out.
I can't wait.
This is just egg, but it's like just egg and not in a bottle. Not
Sure. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's the one thing with just egg for me is, okay, here's another package, and it's recyclable, but I actually wish it came in like a half gallon. Then it would be like, okay.
Totally. But that's
well, maybe that's what we have to do with this is make big bags of it. Like they sell the birch benders. They make that paleo pancake mix.
I haven't seen that, but okay. Yeah.
They've got some good stuff. But so you can just mix this up in a mason jar. Put it in a mason jar, put it with water, shake it up, shake. And then you keep it in the fridge. And I said 3 days. It probably keeps a little longer than that, but this will make about 3 to 4 servings. Here, this recipe. So I made this recipe just up the other day because my sister is in the hospitality business.
Right.
And they have a restaurant, and someone came to the hotel and they asked for a vegan breakfast, and they were not satisfied with the vegan breakfast that they had. They were really upset, and they wrote a letter. My sister was like, "Oh my God, I'm so upset. Like, I can't believe they didn't just run to, there's a health food store. They didn't run to the store. Can you just tell me something we can make and freeze?" And I was like, "Here, I'll do better for you. You can keep this. And it's not expensive to make. And so if somebody comes in and asks for this, you can make them an omelet.
Just throw them
right
together.
then and there. Yeah.
And so that's been a thing there at that hotel.
Yep. And here, I'll send you a picture. I took a picture of it so you can have a photo so people can see what it looks like.
Oh, please. Did you text it to me?
Yeah, here, I'll text
it. Ooh.
Text it to you right now. You can put that up on there. Hold on, it's downloading.
Okay. While it's doing that, so I'm gonna. Just egg. I've talked to people about that a bunch of times. And again, it's that mix of we live in a modern society. We're gonna have processed food. We're gonna drive cars. We're gonna use planes. I like to think, well, how do we optimize that? How do we, like right now though, it's beautiful time because tens of thousands of flights are not happening. People are learning how to live local, how to eat local. And while we all miss our family that's far away, it's an interesting time because we're cleaning up the earth, cleaning up the air. But this issue of packaged foods is a constant balance. But I think it's balanced out by being so low on the food chain that we're automatically. I mean, you get meat and beef out of your diet, folks. Wow, you are doing a quantum leap to getting rid of the soybean and wheat production that's fed to animals, the soybean production in the Amazon, hundreds of acres per day disappear. And unfortunately, most of those soybeans are for beef production. And so everyone knows that argument, but this is a great reminder on Mondays to take some action on it and to find these other alternatives. I wanted to jump back for a second to the Encuentro page because I see on here some wonderful desserts. Look at that. What's
that is a pistachio cake with like a lemon coconut frosting. That was for one of my pop-ups. I think there's a couple other pictures on another page too, but that was I would like to make dessert.
Right, of course.
In fact, I am a sugar addict. I've been really good, but I love dessert and I love vegan dessert. And this like people, because you don't know that it's vegan. You know, people when they eat it, they're like, "Oh my God," and you're like, "Yeah, it's vegan."
It's rich. It's got the mouth feel and the texture, which Anya mentioned that before, and I know you're big on that too, Lacey. It's all about just texture. If you can, and fat, the texture, the texture of grains when they're baked, the texture of certain fruit when they're pureed. I mean, once you learn that, that's it. And I mean, 20 years ago, I remember in your restaurant, things like the chocolate ganache cake, people would just freak out for that, So you, I consider you both, but you in the restaurant, you were a real expert at texture at a very early age. Things like the chickpea soca and a lot of those dishes.
Chili with vegan sour cream.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They were just a winner because of texture. and I think once people also approach things like that and say, hey, what ingredients can I get to give texture? So those are some wonderful looking desserts, and people can go to that website, and there's some pictures.
Yeah, the ice cream cookie sandwich, delicious sandwich.
Yum. Oh, so good.
With peanut brittle.
I was fortunate enough to be out in Oakland one time and had about a year and 3 months ago with my sister had one of the monthly vegan dinners. So I got to experience this. And didn't I surprise you? I think you didn't know I was there or something. Yeah.
I was like, they're like, oh, some friend is out here, and
you rolled your eyes.
You're their favorite vegan chef, and I was like, who is this person?
Yeah. I got no time for this. No, you came out and the look on your face.
I heard that story.
And and then our friend Kimba, who is on here sometimes.
Oh,
Kimba Thurek, right. She was there that night and
sitting next to you.
Yeah, crazy. So she's. I want to have her on because she's doing also some wonderful stuff around food in Oakland. Anya, is there a website for you, or do you just kind of word of mouth, personal?
I'm all word of mouth. But if I have a website, it's going to be for the rolling work that I'm doing now.
Okay, so keep me posted, and we'll bring you back. So you to talk about that for a second. You're now cooking for a family that will remain unnamed. I know it's very famous.
I mean, I never signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Right. But we can say they're in Hollywood, LA, or something, right? We can
Hollywood.
It's more business, high level business executive.
Yeah. And can we say either the movie or the music industry, one or the other, right? Like that way.
Both.
And all of entertainment.
That's
true.
That's true. Castles and princesses. Wink, wink. Okay, so no, that's fantastic. And what's fantastic about that, and I want you to speak to this a bit, and we've talked about this for years, is that there is this thing about all the folks, a lot of folks in these industries for years. You go back to the 50s and 40s, those kind of stars, they were already doing like the health diet, and they knew about juicing, and they kind of so it's always been a thing that people think of as a higher class thing. It's for rich people. It's for, and I like to smash that image. We all do. But I think, so speak to that a little bit. There's Gwyneth Paltrow, and she's got all this stuff, and it's $99 for a little bottle of, tell us a little bit about how you feel, because you kind of have a foot in both worlds. You've worked for so many actors and musicians and executives, but yet you really always strive to show that this is affordable food. Tell us a little bit about that balance.
I mean, within those realms, I don't have to show affordability of anything. That doesn't even like cross the radar.
Well, for those folks, right.
For those folks, yeah. So I work with all different kinds of people, and I think that people just want to feel their healthiest. And so when you're talking about alkalinity and inflammation, and especially as we get older, you can't be pounding sugar and whatever, even beer, and just like going ragged on yourself. And so then it just be water and like fluidization, hydration, and that kind of things, and just like freshness. Even if you can't go to a market that has organic, and you just go to some of like the Ranch 99, or like in downtown, like the little Tokyo, like those places, you can get like really good prices on like Chinese cabbage and like the string beans and daikon, and like there's places to get fresh vegetables that might not be organic, and maybe that is going to be your affordable way to eat fresh. Or
sure.
Not everybody knows to go to a farmer's market or something
sure.
like that, And so I think simplicity is good. And that just goes back to like not necessarily doing filler foods. Like, when people say that, or used to say, eating vegan is so expensive. Yeah, if you're going to buy all this prepackaged stuff, but really, the Instapot thing, and you're just doing bulk, like do your 1 day a week, cook day, prep day. And do it with your friends and do it with your family and do a big pot of beans and do your staple goods. Do a big thing of rice. You can bag up rice and quinoa, millet, you know, and just like put it in the freezer even, or pre-package your meals to go to work, you know, like if people do, you know, COVID ends and we don't have to be at home anymore. And then like, you know, cut up your celery, do the little things. And it's really the condiments that like we take those basic staples, like what was Angelica's, you know, it's like those are, you know, it's a kind of Buddhist way of like eating like you're in a monastery, you know, and just like have your staple goods. And that's why I like the condiment part of it, or like kimchi or sriracha, you know, like that's giving it all pop. And then we have all the fresh textures. That's what makes food affordable and fun. It's not about all the like the packaged good that has like 20 ingredients to make like the cracker.
Yeah,
you know, like, you don't need to have all that. Just like get all of the highest quality things, steam it, you know, and then that way. And that for me is really what makes food fun, affordable, and not a burden to be in the kitchen. Like when I first started getting into food, I was a single mother. I had a Zara. I was into raw food. I mean, I had a job, I was working, but I felt like I was always in the kitchen cooking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's the kind of mom I wanted to be, to give my daughter like the highest quality food that she could get. And I don't know, as you get older, you're like, I can't do this anymore. You get tired, you know? But smoothies even, I mean, you could do a juice, you know, like celery juice. If I don't know if anybody's had like mono or like Epstein-Barr, you know, there's a thing with like taxing one's adrenals too, and like just like homemade, like or being able to like, drink celery juice every morning. You know, I can't juice every day. I am busy. So like I would just juice a whole bunch and freeze it, but just like finish it within 3 days. I think that makes, because you can even go to the 99-cent store and get like organic ingredients there and just buy a bunch of it when they have it. And it's like, you know, the mono diet thing, and just like can something, like juice something, freeze something, and just like keep a relationship with the rotation of it. I wanted to start, like a lot of people, if you're in communities with like at least a group of 5 or 10 people, you could be using Frontier and like buying things in bulk. And like a lot of stores are popping up now. Like there's one in Silver Lake or in Highland Park called a Tear. And it's like all these places now, it's like just for bulk, you know, and like people, smaller communities, like we could, if we were all together, you know, we didn't have a health food store, we didn't really like what it was around. We could get like what we need and like do all that distribution together, you know? Yeah. My friends,
that's what the Mormons do.
Hey.
Yeah.
Let's become a cult, the 3 vegan cult. And then it just like increases in numbers.
I like it. Well, buying in bulk. Yeah. Whatever the name of the group is.
Cult bulk.
I like it. No, well, you touched on a couple good points there. You know, again, having those staples, but also having that kind of cook day. And we kind of do that here. Robin and I'll steam a bunch of greens. She'll bake 4 or 5 things at once: sweet potato, white potatoes, onions. We've been baking onions like crazy. She'll bake like 8 onions, just cut them in half and bake them. Oh my God, baked onions, stop it.
Oh my God.
They just caramelize, but then so good. But then, as you're saying, Anya, then we have a little Pyrex dish with the onions. So then you're making a soup the next day. Baked onion goes in there, or a salad, baked onion on the salad. Some beans, baked onion. So now you have this incredible umami, healthy, delicious flavor that you did it once on Sunday or whatever, and then you got 4 or 5 days.
Adds to everything, exactly.
Yeah, and likewise the potatoes. We eat a lot of potatoes because we're on coronavirus budget. You know, so buying 5-pound bags of potatoes, buying 2-3-pound bags of onions. We get a CSA once a week, like a box.
Yeah.
I think it's $25 or $30 for this packed box of organic food, and you know, so you make a good point though, that folks that are new to this can think about that. If you don't have that much time to cook every day, what can you make that would give you 2 or 3 days of food? A pot of beans, a pot of, you know, steamed kale or chard or collards, some juice, like Anya said. If you have a juicer that's been sitting in the, you know, back cupboard closet for a while. Whip that out. Make some celery juice. Just get that into your. So there's a lot of inexpensive ideas that can happen.
You're reminding me because of the potatoes, like a lot of things that maybe people don't think of is like get a zester and zest some lemon peel onto your potato, you know, or if you don't know how to use spices, like toasting your coriander, cumin, and like having a mortar and pestle and toasting your fennel seeds, whatever, that adds a lot of that umami kind of big busting flavor and getting something to grind it fresh instead of just using it from the spice bottle kind of thing. But if you do use spices from the spice bottle, a little bit of warming in the oil, like that's how they would like, that's like Indian style, like bringing the, you know, the essence,
steeping it.
Yeah, bring that flavor out, more forward, back to life.
I love it. Well, and thanks for reminding me of Frontier Herbs. I haven't thought about them in years. And wow, that's so anyone can go order from there, right? You don't have to be a store, right? You can.
Or you can just order Frontier Herbs. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah. And here's the one you can get all the different beans and like Frontiers are another company that you can order stuff in bulk, like huge bag, 20-pound, 50-pound.
I mean, well, they have. Looks like they've got a bunch of stuff that you can like co-op.
Yeah.
Too,
well,
but
this is for any folks out there. And I don't know, I never know how many folks are listening, but we got about 25 people on Facebook and a few on YouTube. I see, and I never know on Twitter, but there's a handful of people. So it's kind of cool for people ask questions and they're learning new stuff. For those of you folks, again, who are new to kind of natural cooking, natural foods, check out this website. It's just frontiercoop.com, and I'll put it in the chat. But an excellent company. I'm glad that Anya just reminded me of them, because always had them in the health food stores that I worked in. We always had Frontier, and they were great because you could order by bulk. So you can get bags. Like, they don't have to come in little bottles. You can order, you know, a pound of, you know, dried.
Start your own cult. Just
your cult of bulk.
Your cult of bulk.
That's it. And, and look at that. They're featuring nutritionally yeast, Lace, right on the front.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a really nice way to make a vegan mac and cheese.
They know absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's a store in Canada. We went to Victoria. Like, I went there 2 years ago, and they have this bulk barn store, which was amazing. I was like, why don't we have this here? The whole entire store was just bulk everything. I mean, you could get, you know, you name it. I mean, you could get all the food stuff, but you could get other things too, like home things. And they were all in these huge bins. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, where's our bulk barn?
I know. Well, we all grew up with the bulk idea. And so to not have that, I just put that link in the chat, folks. But Frontier, awesome. I really urge you to check out Frontier if you never have. And, you know, I talk a lot on this show about fermentation and the importance of pickles and pickled food and you know, Rejuvelac. We talk about apple cider vinegar. One of y'all mentioned ume plum before. So really big topic every week is, folks, eat some pickles, eat some sauerkraut, learn about kimchi. So look at this, huh? Frontier has a whole page on doing it yourself. How to meal planning.
That's great. Oh yeah.
And you know, one of the things too, and I know you two embrace this, is I love to study the history of food. And fermentation is one of the oldest things in human, right? Around the world. Humans very early on, working with the seasons, once humans started growing crops and staying in one spot, they realized, well, in the seasons, this grows, how do I keep it? And so smoking things, drying things, but also pickling. Once we just discovered just putting them in salt water is a way to preserve. So anything that goes back that far, I think people should respect. And pickling is one of those things. And sure enough,
natural way to get the natural probiotics.
Exactly. I was just going to say, sure enough, it's a way that it can help us because it's been around in the human diet for so long. So that's pretty cool. So we'll add that. So let's see if there's any other questions. Oh, it's not letting me post that. Jeez, how about that? Look at that warning, huh? Stupid Facebook says I can't post that. It goes against spam. I tell you,
Wow.
Facebook really is. Don't even get me started. All I wanted there, all I was posting was a link uh, from fermentation. Are you
Oh, there
kidding?
it went through.
No,
Or
no,
did it not?
that is fucked up. What a. Anyway, folks, you see where it is. If you go to Frontier, you can just find it. It's down below. That's mind blowing, huh? All the weird, you know, conspiracy theory nonsense you could post, but I can't post something on fermentation.
Yeah.
That's great. That says it all, folks. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can delete that. Let's erase that. Or how do I get rid of it? Now it's annoying me. Anyway, great. So that's a good little section there. Roy, hello, Roy. Roy's talking about pickling, and he just ate one of his pickled Kirby's. Kirby, Kirby cukes, right? Is that a type of cuke? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, it's not letting me look now at my questions there, so we'll come back to that on another screen. Okay, great. Let me try to get back to the proper screen here. So, okay, great. So we've kind of caught up on what you're both doing. You're both cooking. You both got creative things happening around the lockdown because, people need to eat, right? People still need to eat. That's not going to change. It's going to be interesting. I mean, what's your thoughts? I mean, are you both kind of settled in that this is just the way of life for another year now, or another? Give me your thoughts on how you're planning your business and because everything you do, you can keep doing, right? Writing a book, teaching and things. Do you have like a game plan? Are you kind of planning things around this new reality?
As far as my game plan, well, I'm working on this space right now. I haven't fully formulated the space, but it's going to be a COVID-proof space, probably mostly outdoor dining. And I don't know, the fires really have thrown us for a loop here. It just added that extra layer of uncertainty because, I think once they started, we're like, wow, COVID's not so bad. I would have just taken that and
yeah, right.
but just throw that in the mix as far as hospitality, restaurants, dining outside. Because the restaurant, a lot of them have transitioned to outdoor dining.
Sure.
Now when the, smoky days are here, they're just winter ahead of time, basically, because that's what they're going to have to face. So, as far as my own plan, in my mind, I'm planning my space to be outdoor focused, with more of just a takeout element or just bring your food to your table kind of thing, rather than doing so much indoor dining and the whole, next level of dining that I used to do. And creating more of a commissary type kitchen for other makers to make food in, but very small. And for people to have parties at the space as well, but have them outside. So that's kind of where my thinking is. That's why I'm kind of holding off a bit just to see what's going to happen. But yeah, It looks like another year. I mean, a couple months ago, I was saying it's going to be 2 years. There's no way not to be, gloom and doom.
No, you're
realistically, it's like, how are you going to make a vaccine, get people to take this vaccine that no one, so untested,
not taking that
all
vaccine.
These, all the things. I mean, there's just so many unknowns. I think it's just more of a wait and see. And for me, food is my life. Sometimes I struggle with it, that's my life. But I'm going to probably end up having another business because that's what I love to do, is to be with people in that way and
that's
to cook
great
for them in that way. It's really hard to cook just for 3 people at home who have varied, tastes. It's like, I like an audience. It's more fun that way.
You're in a way, it's like it's like a musician, it's like a performer. You have to have that receiving audience.
You want to give that to other people, and if you know, it's untapped otherwise. So you know, that's my plan as far as that goes. And as far as COVID, I'm just trying to sit tight and just kind of, you know, get through November. Really, I just, you know, whatever happens after, it happens, and we have to deal with it then. But there is a little bit of like this kind of, you know, stuff happening until then for me. But
that's great to hear, though, that you've got a solid plan, and it's based around, I love that phrase, COVID proof, you know, so you're designing it from the ground up to have the spacing and to have the, you know, we really, we gotta, I think humans in our generation, so my generation, your generation, maybe the one after, so, and the generation older than me, which is like 4 generations of humans are alive at any given time, 4 or 5, you know, and the cognizant, you know, there's a generation that are babies, but they don't understand what's going on. But those of us who understand, I think we're in an interesting dilemma in the modern world where we have all these devices, and we can order something and order a car and order a meal and order a flight and just this, you know, just sit here. We could do a hotel. I mean, we could literally sit here right now and say, let's go to Prague and buy the ticket, buy the hotel, get the, you know, so we have control over this. We think we do. We have control over, right? And you just, I think this is the crisis, the biggest crisis for a lot of people. I think I've gotten past it, and I think you have, and many people have. It's to let go and to realize you're not in control. You're not in control. Mother Nature is in control and is in control all the time anyway. You were fooling yourself to think, right? So there's this, and once you do that, once you realize, okay, cool. Yep, nature, biology, Mother Nature, I have to fit inside that. I'm not controlling it. But a lot of people are freaking out because they can't deal with not being in control, you know? So the conspiracy theories start coming up because that's a form of control, or sitting in front of their TV for 8 hours. That's another form of, if I could just control this info and no, chill out, realize that human beings have gone through these things many, many times. You know, the Black Death is one that I've been watching some videos. You know, have you all ever watched some stuff on the Black Death and how that spread around?
No, we've talked about it at our house.
Fascinating. Yeah. There's a lot of data on that. And that goes far back. But the more interesting one is the one from 100 years ago, the swine flu, the pandemic from 1919. That's fascinating because
that was the Spanish flu, right?
Yes, and they called it that. That makes it sound like it's from Spain. They only called it that, maybe you know, because Spain was the only country reporting on it during World War I. Yeah, it's funny. I never knew that till recently. All the other countries were tight-lipped about it because of the war. They didn't want to look like they were having problems. Spain was neutral at that point, so they were talking about this crazy flu and people are dying. And so, but it actually, they traced it. It starts in the American Midwest on a swine farm. So it's a swine flu. And the lesson here, and what I want to tie in for plant-based living, is this is going to happen again because we're treating animals the way we do. And so Ebola with the bushmeat, the MERS one, the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, that's because of the way animals are treated. The swine flu, 1918, cruelty, horrible treatment of these animals. The avian flu, right? The Asian bird flu from a few years ago, H1N1. So that's another thing that I think, you know, and I'm saying this to be positive and to say, folks, let's get on board. Let's stop this animal nightmare.
Well, it's not just animals. It's like how much property that with the globalization of the world, like messing with the lights. Like, oh my God,
absolutely.
On these LED lights that are taking the grid of the night sky, and like the birds are up at
it's
all
radiating
hours.
Yeah,
like,
there's a bunch of
how to migrate anymore, and there's like no room for any animals to live in like the
changing animal
lions.
habitats. No, absolutely terrible. Absolutely. You're right. And it radiates out into 10 other issues, which sometimes, makes people, their head explodes. That's why, again, my goal on this whole thing is, okay, every Monday, just have
one thing
meal.
at a time.
No, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to tell people, just if you can just look at your meals one day, you're actually making a big impact, folks, because you're thinking about it. It might cause you to communicate with that crazy cousin or your daughter or somebody who you thought was really weird. Meanwhile, no, they're doing something positive. But I want people to really tie it in and understand that we're stuck inside. We're going through a global crisis because of humans and animals and what we're doing. So let's really here's what a beautiful, fun way to undo that. Learn some new recipes, learn some new ways to let's go back to some comments here. So okay, so Sabina in Germany says she started canning. That's awesome. And yes, it did not start in Spain. It started in the American Midwest. I'm also, before I forget, Lace, I remember all the little things till I put them in here. You had mentioned the Satanbacher, so I put a link to that so people can check that out. Because you're right, that is awesome. We haven't had that in years. I got to buy a can of that.
They have it at Good Earth. Like they have it at some smaller health food stores. They probably have it at Rainbow.
Awesome.
So
I mean, that's in Rainbow's in California. Is that a chain there?
Yeah, Rainbow in San Francisco. Good Earth is in Marin, and they're a great store. One
awesome.
Of the great.
And when I Googled it, it comes up in Walmart. So if someone's stuck out in the middle of the country somewhere, it's in Walmart or it's at Amazon.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
I'm always.
I've requested it. I requested at Berkeley Bowl. I requested it. Worse, but I just order it now from Amazon.
Right. And I'm torn on that too. It's like sometimes it's like whatever, just get it from Amazon. Because again, all the political things about them or Walmart or something, it's a struggle because we are in the matrix. We're in there.
It's more the packaging is my thing, For me, like, I mean, we could have a whole topic, of recycling and like how we can be doing so much better with
some people are doing better.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think
right, but there's industry around it that there could be. Like, yeah, if it doesn't, if people don't get excited about stuff unless it makes them money, and it's like, then find a way to make recycled goods really make some money because then somebody will do something about it. But
no, you're right.
It's just like that's when the cause means something to somebody. So all these big companies, it's like, and we could be building houses out of garbage. We could be, we could be doing so much more with the garbage that we have.
I know.
So that's coming. I mean, that's what looking where we came from to where things are now. One thing at a time. If people can focus on their diet, then they realize where all the packaging goes, and what we see in the plastics that are in the waters all over the world, and the fact that we need water, and Monsanto's buying all the water rights, and then we'll want to. It has to come to a crisis. So people have their physical crisis; they're getting sick. We got to change our diet. Oh, the water is all polluted. Okay, now let's do something.
Yeah, no, it's you're right. The key is finding some inner
personal connection,
coping, a connection. Yeah, absolutely, a connection to everything, the universe, Mother Earth, nature in general. But I have found, at least for myself, over this, especially this period, coping skills. Like I've really had to pull out all my bag of tricks, coping with the stress and with the sense of concern for what's happening. And I've really and I do pretty well. I got it down. I think it's about 2 days a month now. I curl up in a ball and I don't get out of bed. I'm just like, I can't take it. And it's okay to be that vulnerable and realize I can't. But that's pretty good. The other 20 some days, I'm doing music, I'm doing this, I'm doing interviews, and I love that you two have deep creativity that you can go to, and you can get your head out of the despair part of this. But you're right. The plastics and all these things. I hope that because you see these great organizations that young people have come up with where they just go to beaches and collect plastic. And there's one company where they take it all and make stuff. There's a right. They make toothbrushes and
yeah, there's
yeah.
stuff happening. Yeah.
There really is. There really is. We're getting close to the end here, so I'm going to just wrap with another question or two and see if there's some comments. But one thing I wanted to point out too is the Danone, you know that company, they own Danone and all that. They are just investing massively in oat milk. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, oat milk is great.
And so you have again one of those situations where I don't know. Again, a lot of our more anarchist, far left friends will say, "Fuck them, boycott them," and you're like, "Well, okay, I get it. I understand that because now it's the man and all that." But again, the part of me says, I remember my 19-year-old vegan, vegetarian I was or whatever, and I'd be like in the supermarket going, "Man, I wish any of these companies would just do one thing for us." Okay, bingo, got your wish. Now what? You know, so that's a funny one because you bring up the water uses, for instance. So here you have this big company that was spending money on cow slavery and the amount of water you need. Now they're doing it with oats. It's more regenerative. It's a restorative type of a crop, much less water, healthier. What's your thoughts on that? On company like Dan and jumping
that gets more reach to more people. I mean, I'm not going to buy that brand of oat milk personally, but somebody in the Midwest is going to see that in some whatever the stores are out there, because that brand is affiliated with those kinds of markets, and it's just going to like have more reach. And then as people get educated about qualities and brands and you learn over time. Yeah, going to the more refined and the more local and the more small,
And maybe, sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I thought you were done. Sorry. Oh no, totally agreed. And maybe make it themselves, because come on, oat milk, right? Almond milk. So did y'all know? I was gonna say this before when I was talking about studying history. I did a thing on this a couple of weeks ago. Did y'all know that there was almond milk in the 1300s in Europe? The year.
Whoa.
Yes.
No.
I know. I'll send you the article. And we did a little thing on it here because I really want people, again, to reinforce that vegan, vegetarian, all this stuff, it's not from the 50s or 60s, hippies or something. Let's understand. We're talking about an ancient type of eating. We're talking about, right? The Buddhists, the ancient people,
monks,
African, Ethiopian people, the monks in various parts of Asia. Exactly. Indonesia, tempeh goes back a couple thousand years. And I was blown away, though, to read about in the 1300s because it was tough to get milk year round because you had a much smaller production. And so they started using almonds and crushing almonds, boiling them, making a milk, and using that as a soup stock, using it in place of cooking. Amazing. And then they would mash up almond meal and use it when they didn't have enough eggs. I couldn't believe it. So again, that's so cool because what we're doing is part of a continuum. Here's just so people can see real quick. This is happening right now. Mainstream dairy brands jumping on the oat milk bandwagon. What will happen to cow's milk? It says. Well, hopefully, become incredibly rare. And yeah, I wouldn't outlaw it, but look behind this woman. You have just 12 feet of kind of milk alternatives, right? We all see that now. You go to the supermarket, right? There's hemp milk, oat milk, almond milk in the most basic supermarket, right? I mean, I'm blown away at that. And as you said, Lacey, people go where the money is. So supermarkets are saying, well, hey, we're selling this stuff. But
I gotta think about that.
Yeah.
Well, oat milk was I was kind of late to the game. Again, I'm sort of a resistor because I'm like, well, we need something else. I've always known about oat milk, but then there's flax milk and there's this milk.
Black sesame milk that people are making?
It's all good, but I'm kind of old school and I like soy milk still. And and then I was like, oh, I like that things are coming out in the packages that are like the fresh packages rather than the aseptic packages. Because remember, we had that whole thing with Second Nature. What are we going to do with these packages? And they were taking them away. So that was like, I resist things. And then everybody's on to oat milk. And I was like, oh, I like the way soy milk tastes. So I was a little bit like, meh about it.
Behind,
and then drinking it. I was like, what was I waiting for? Like I was being such a, just let go a little bit and try it. And
it mixes much better with coffee.
It's very than any of the other milks. But I was afraid after trying almond milk, I was like, oh, oat milk's going to be like, bitter and curdle in and then I tried it and I was like, oh, this is good, but it was, I think I was resisting just one more product.
Sure. I'm with you. I'm like that. Yeah.
So, but once I had it, I was like, fantastic. At Safeway, I can go to Safeway in the middle of the night, because they're open the latest, and go get some oat milk or whatever alternative milk. And I feel like that is amazing. Again, I'll never get over this stuff because I don't get over cell phones. So,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I still have
it's like I could wake up one day and it's
No, I think sorry, go ahead.
I think the oat milk craze happened because the almond trees take so much water to grow the almonds, and the whole thing with the bees being killed, and it's just California is one of the biggest producers of almonds, and so there was a whole almond milk all of a sudden took the big. There's always going to be these big waves of craze, right? Like who knows how long almond milk is going to be with us, and then oat milk. It's going to be the next other new thing that comes, but. I was glad to see oat milk finally get popularity because I was worrying about the almond trees.
Yeah, and the water. You guys have a battle in California with water. Even
battle, I don't like actually using that terminology, but yes, we're in a drought.
Yeah, what I mean is the different states that fight over the water that's coming from the Sierra Mountains and all that stuff.
There's like flax milk. I mean, like I haven't tried that yet, but I know people really like it. And I mean, you could make milk out of anything.
That's the point. Make your own milk.
And as a child, I just put water in my cereal because sometimes we didn't have milk in our
house. That's remembering that where we came from. None of us.
I was like, there's no milk, and we have all this cereal. I gotta eat. It's like,
I love it. No, I love it. I'm with you. I take, especially not being in the industry anymore. When we had the store, we would try stuff every day. We had to, as soon as it came in, and as you know, one of the fun things being in retail is all these new things arrive, and you go, oh yeah, try this out. You can't even keep up, but I never. We had a very basic whole foods diet, and that's still the reality. It does take me a while sometimes. In fact, I didn't have an Impossible Burger for 2 years or something after the big kind of blow up. I was actually, Anya, you might have crossed. Say again?
I only had it for the first time this year, like a few months ago.
Right. Yeah. Likewise. You might have run across this person. I had a dinner with the chef of the LA Lakers. I don't know, you probably worked with some sports people in LA, but famous chef. He's great, but a very meat-oriented guy. But we were on a tour, and we went to have dinner in his house up in, I think it was in Ventura. I forget where. Some incredibly rich part of LA, up in the mountains, up in the hills. You're looking over, and he cooked all this stuff. And there was 2 or 3 of us vegetarian, and he did salads and some side dishes, but he did these Impossible Burgers. And I was like, I definitely, if I didn't see him take it out of the package and was kind of talking to him in the kitchen, I definitely would have been like, hey, bro, you made a mistake here, man. Can you take this back? I mean, I really was like, because that's what it's about. It's to get people who love that burger thing. And yeah, it was cool. I've never bought one. I've never, I think one more time I was on tour with Yes, and we have like 8 vegetarians on that tour. And there was another time they had So yeah, these things, again, as we said at the beginning of the chat, it's nice that they're there. It brings people into the idea, but I think, yeah, let's get people to respect a head of bok choy, to understand how to, how to work with Brussels
Respect the
sprouts.
bok choy.
Respect vegetables, because you know what? If you actually grow them, you see how long it takes to get to that point.
Maybe that's
know?
the thing. People don't see what it takes to actually
They
grow a
don't- right.
vegetable.
They
I
don't
know.
know how the time
I
is,
know.
and that you don't get it all year. That's like a really, technical process to be able to have things year round and have them
it's
all
true.
the time.
It's true.
I mean, we gotta, yeah, that's right.
Some hot peppers.
That's on our back porch. But seeing those come up and seeing the little bud, and then the next day,
it's coming.
it's really, you're right. It's a respect. And what's great about this whole coronavirus thing too is, you always got to find silver linings. But we gardened a lot more this year, and because we're home, we're often on tour in the summer. But I went out to buy plant pots a couple times. Those same ones, those little, and they were out of stock most of the time. And and I spoke to the people at Lowe's, Home Depot, after like the second or third time, and I've done nothing except go to supermarkets and hardware stores for 6 months. So I love being at home because I'm always traveling. But after about the second time, I said, hey, are you going to get the 8, 10, and 12, flower pots back? And the woman was like, sir, we cannot keep them in. And I was like, wow, I guess so. So that's great news, right? Americans teaching their kids are learning. I think there's so much silver lining about this. It's a tragedy. No one's saying, oh, this is great. But to step back and to say, wow, you're slowing down, you're being around your family, there's a lot of good things. This was, I think I showed this before y'all came on, but this was me today. Taco chef.
Yes.
Taco chef. And then I want to make sure people see this. Lacey's finished picture of the omelet. Oh my God. Look at that, Lace. So that's the chickpea omelet with what? Tomatoes and what else in there? A little English muffin.
Yeah, with some Miyokos. I really like Miyokos.
Oh, she's the best.
Yeah, the butter is like delicious.
And
Just
then a little salad on the side.
And then some little salad. And those tomatoes are from my garden, and parsley from my garden, and lettuce from my garden.
Wow. That is so good. Well, awesome. We're gonna wrap up here. See if there's one or two other questions.
There is one package thing I really like too.
Yeah, please.
That Violife, which I've told you about, the Violife cheese.
Love it. I think
awesome.
Robin just got some. Yeah.
It is the best. Like
it's crazy.
I can eat a whole pack of that cheese. Like
yeah. And that's a great example too of mouthfeel. That's a word I remember. Gary Null. Remember Gary Null? Used to listen to Gary Null.
What happened to Gary Null?
He's around. He's around. He's in his 70s. I think he still does his show. I think he's been. I haven't checked in him on years, but I of course grew up listening. But I know he's definitely gotten. He's lost a lot of respect the last few years because he's strongly anti-vax, and of course that's a controversial area. I mean, I think that's a whole other topic.
I know that's.
I think clearly it's a pretty quick thing. Though. I'm just balanced about it. I think obviously they work. Obviously we don't have polio because of obviously in Africa, but it's completely abused. That they're not regulated enough. They're not tested enough. The companies that make them have no one looking over their shoulder, especially in the United States where we let the pharmaceutical and FDA. So that's really my problem. I say, okay, let's have vaccines, but let's have incredible scrutiny. Get the mercury out of there. Get the toxic things.
I mean, a lot of things are not even in this country, though, even though it's a United States country. And there's that whole control, those controls over there that are like, I've heard
all of
crazy.
All of it.
Yeah.
And that goes in.
Sorry. Number of vaccines that they give to the kids in such a short amount of time. I'm not saying vaccines don't work, but why are you giving so many to such a little tiny baby?
Exactly.
I don't know. People will say that's not causing autism, but I don't know.
You know,
and not even that, but like barrage their system, you know, like
it's not the vaccine causing the autism, it's the multiplicity of so many things that won't like in a period of time.
Synchronicity. No, you're exactly correct. And the part that bothers me is you have the anti-vax where you have some people, and we all know them, that it just gets batshit crazy. But I think it's just as crazy on the other side, because if you say something completely balanced, like you just said, which is, hey, should a baby have 6, 7, 8 vaccines by the 6 months? That's a very rational question. People freak out about that. So I just wish. But anyway, Gary Null, he goes way down the rabbit hole, and he goes into some stuff. So I know he's gotten some real heat the past couple of years, which is a shame because it makes people not respect his vast amount of knowledge on all the other stuff, right? Nutrition. But he's a hero, and I always think about what I've learned from him. But my point there was that he always used that phrase mouthfeel. I remember hearing that, and I remember understanding finally what he meant, and understanding that that's what it's about. If you can make someone a delicious meal or something, and there's fat, there's texture, there's saltiness, there's all the umami, then it's a winner, you know. Have y'all seen, as chefs, have you seen the show? What's it called? Salt, Fat, and Heat. Do you know that one?
Oh yeah, she's from here, Samid.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
really cool, because that kind of
she's cool.
It's kind of like what we've been talking about today. Like, let's get it simple. Like, what do we love about food? And it's, so that show kind of celebrates it. Let's see. Couple questions here. A couple people saying hi. Sabina says she would love some Mexican vegan recipes. Okay. Any tips for websites? All right. That's something where, it's so easy to just Google these days, especially on YouTube. If you just punch in Mexican vegan soup, you watch someone making it. So I'll follow up on that, Sabina. But I just go to YouTube now. I mean, literally, you could just punch in coconut tempeh curry, and bang, there's somebody making it, right?
You could put a whole bunch of weird words together and get something.
It's crazy, right? So, and Sabina says, "What's the name of Lacey's book?" So right now is the Down to Earth cookbook. It's called.
It's called "You Won't Believe It's Vegan."
You won't believe it's vegan, and is that available still at?
Yeah.
It's at
probably get a used copy.
Yeah.
For cheap, but I think it's about $12 or $14 or something.
And I'm sorry, say one more thing. You can't believe it's not vegan?
You won't believe it's vegan.
You won't believe it. You won't believe it's vegan. Yeah. Okay, great. Let me get a link going there. We had Eric Tucker on a couple months ago. About a month ago.
I don't know. I'm just like I'm not hip to the getting on the computer at certain times.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eric was great, and also talked about his book and different things. There it is. You won't believe it's vegan. And there it is. I just put an Amazon link. So, folks, you can find the book that Sabina's right there. She's on live. She's awesome. Sabina's a friend of mine who I met in music. She works for the Zappanale, that Zappa festival that we go in Germany, right? You guys have heard about that. So met her, and she's really cool because she's hardcore into natural living and environmentalism, and how do I reduce my carbon footprint, and how do I, make things myself, So she really walks the walk. But also I love that she gives in on this thing that we do every week. There's people jumping in from around the country, but we get this really great input from what it's like in Germany. So she talks about the natural pharmacies that are there. You go into a regular pharmacy, apothecary, and they have herbs, right?
Dynamics.
You're really into homeopathic medicine.
Yeah, it's so. Sabina, thank you always for your input. But it looks like she's
for all posterity, they're really cutting edge.
That's right. Looks like she's going to look for your book, and so will some other people. And Anya, I hope you have a book sometime because you have.
I'm planning on writing a book, but it's not a food book.
Okay.
It's going to be more on spatial relationship of the body.
Okay.
And the coordination of the anatomy. And
Okay.
the work that I'm doing is with the body, but with the emotions. So actually, like one of the things I was thinking about in terms of food, because I've been working on teams of doctors with like trauma and emotions and psychology, is that, just bringing that back to food and how that embodies our tissue actually, and the toxicity and the acidity. But also the thing about eating plants versus eating meat excessively is going from a rajasic diet to a sattvic diet. And then you're also like, if you have anger issues or your liver is going crazy, you're fleshing out and you're actually creating a demeanor of greater calmness also in eating plant foods. And that's something also, that can be really a balance, especially during this time when there's a lot of anxiety, and a lot of worry and fear and grief, and a lot of people losing things and people and relationships and just like the distance. I mean, I feel really blessed that following protocols that we can be close to one another because we are following a protocol that allows us to be, or allows me to be with my clients. I am seeing people like one-on-one, but just like meeting those needs because there are a lot of unknowns and there's just a lot of people misrepresenting consistency and how to go about doing something. It just incites fear. So I'm just into like doing whatever that I can. I think that's part of the thing of COVID too, is that it's okay for me because I'm in service to other people. And that's what feels really good. It's like there's a community outreach, even though we can't be physically together all the time, that still keeps us connected. Even people who maybe didn't even realize how alone they were, how stark the contrast is because of this. And more people actually reaching out to people that they know might be isolated. And it really is creating more of a collective union internationally also because we are all affected by this. So a lot of really incredible silver linings.
Absolutely. That's beautifully put. And I all of that makes sense to me. And that last little part, I just read that in an article the other day. I've been thinking it myself, and then good to get it reinforced. And then you just said it, that ironically, there's all these new connections. It's kind of ironic. No, it's not ideal. No, it's not the way it was. You have a lot of people who focus on the negative part, but I think it's outnumbered by these new tools that we will have going forward. Whenever we get out of this, hopefully the tools people have stick with them. But that's really great too. And I hope you do have success in that book, completing that, because that's a beautiful area. That's almost like getting into Zen Buddhism and getting into, the way that the Buddhists look at emotion and mood and all these things, negativity and anger, and how food, has to be a part of it. Has to be. I mean,
sure.
I think people underestimate. It's funny, sometimes people will laugh at herbal medicine, for instance. They'll say, how can that work? It's just a half ounce of this. You're ridiculous. That's not. And I'll say to them, have you had a shot of tequila? Right?
That's a whole show. If you want to talk about food and the influence of what it does to the body, sugar and inflammation and depression. If anybody on this is depressed, take sugar out of your diet.
That's it. And sometimes I've had people go, wow, I never thought of that. Because that tiny little bit of tequila, if you drink that and then you wait, whatever, bam, right? It is doing something. It obviously. So I tell people, well, think about that soda you drank, which was 10 times that much with 40 grams of sugar. And so of course it's impacting your kidneys. Of course and of course the other way, an extract of astragalus or turmeric or some herb, of course that has effect on your body. But I think a lot of people have trouble sometimes acknowledging how powerful plants can be, and so that's awesome to hear you fitting it into a whole new modality.
Sometimes it's hard to change your whole lifestyle when that's not the way, but maybe just adding things in, don't just take it all away, but just start implementing. Like, okay, don't change your diet, just eat some spirulina.
I like it, and I like that. That's a lot of my approach, because then it's going to display something else naturally, like without you even trying. Yeah, just add something really good. Well, this is great. A lot of people saying some cool stuff about just making stuff at home, making stuff from scratch. Um, Homeopathy is very big in Germany. Sabina says, yeah, absolutely. Well, my dear friends, thank you so much for stopping by. This has been fun.
I love you. We love you so much. Yeah. It's so good to be here.
Fantastic you're doing this.
Love you both so much too. And, you know, as I say to Robin all the time, I don't have kids, but I have this flock of people that that came into my life when they were teenagers, or just 20, as you were saying, 20 or 22. And it's been really awesome to see you all become just amazing humans out there with amazing kids and amazing careers. And, you know, at some point we should do a Second Nature reunion show here, right? Because you're all doing amazing stuff. We had Steve Asbury on talking about his vegan bodybuilding. I want to have Chrissy on with, you know, she's got a couple careers now, right? In different natural foods. And I want to have Casey on too, because wow, right? We all grew up with a rock star. What's the name of his show? Man versus Food.
Man versus Food. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy that?
Oh my God.
That he's like this
he
giant
was always
star.
such a personality, though.
You've seen that, right, Anya?
I haven't seen that.
It's a crazy show.
I don't really watch
it. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll ask Lacey.
I follow him on Instagram and stuff.
Sure. And Anya, you know who we're talking about? Do you remember him?
Yeah, redheaded kid, dark auburn.
Yeah. He's here's his show.
There it is.
Versus Food.
He's so cute.
I know.
I can't believe it. So yeah, this for folks, those of you who don't know what we're talking about, the store that we had, and Lacey worked there, and Anya, did you work for us briefly? I think.
No, everybody's like, you did it? No, I just was like, I was just in there every day.
Yeah. I can't remember if we had you briefly on our salad bar or something, but yeah, you certainly were a major component.
Oh, yeah, maybe he was on the salad bar for a minute.
I think so, yeah. But look at that. There's Casey Webb. He worked for us. Now he goes and eats as much food as he can. And certainly.
So wait, what point of the show is it?
It's like these food challenges, and he's
not about health food.
It's definitely not. It's like burgers. But that's it. Hey, that's okay. I love him. Look at that. It's just, it's all American, man.
I'm glad he found his thing, because he was always acting, and he was in the improv group. Remember?
Yeah, he's a comedian. Exactly. He's I think he was in some I forget what company, but I would see him in ads from time to time.
Oh, like, he's in this commercial up here. That one. That one, the oil change guy.
Oh yeah, that's a good one, right. No, it's such a trip when you see someone and you kind of. But no, we the Second Nature energy is a wonderful thing. So it's been great to hang with y'all, and we'll do it again, and we'll pick a specific topic, and we'll do this again. So take care. Look out for the smokiness.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Anya, how long are you there in the Bay?
I'm here probably till Friday. I bought a van. I'm becoming a mobile unit.
Oh,
so
wow.
I dropped my my lease agreement. I'm just sick of paying rent in LA.
Sure.
So I just want to be a mobile unit, do my work, and do house calls, and come up and down the coast of California. And I actually want to convince Lacey to make a food bar that's high protein, no sugar kind of thing, and develop.
So there's some ideas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And is this kind of like a sprinter van where you can actually have a little kitchen and stuff? Oh wow! that's so many. I have so many friends doing that, and of course you could make it biodiesel down the road and all that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
4x4 diesel, so it can't be biodiesel.
Okay.
Engine is diesel, but it
Oh, yeah.
can't do
Can't do hemp and,
biodiesel.
yeah.
But maybe somewhere down the line, we can
Sure.
kind of transition.
But just going and parking places and being your own spot.
being
Yeah.
my own sovereign
That-
being,
That is amazing.
sovereign
Robin,
messenger of health and well-being.
yeah. Robin watches. There's this woman on YouTube. She's a young woman that's vegan and she's very young. I think she's like 23 or 4. And her and her partner and their baby, and I have 2 babies. Do you know about this? She travels around.
You mentioned it before.
Yeah, it's really cool. All they do is they live out of their van, like you're saying, but they're vegan and they're in Australia. So it's these really beautiful, and they've just built. They're really an example of this modern world because they just started posting videos on YouTube, and then it got bigger and bigger, and then they started putting ads on YouTube. So they make a living by just living off the grid and filming it. I mean,
Yeah.
and so that brings them enough money to. They just shop, they get all this vegan food, and then she shows you recipes and here's what we do. But again, it's very cool because like us, it's very whole foods based. She's making stuff from scratch. And she's buying things. She's buying soy milk, but she's mostly buying greens and avocados and cukes and all these amazing foods. But just that knowledge to people that look, if you can do this in a van, you certainly can do it at home. It's not that so that's the message today. Well, awesome. Well, we'll have you back on. Stay safe, and it's my dear sister Lisa's birthday tomorrow, so we'll give her a shout out. Yeah, tomorrow. So Anya, I don't know if you ever met Lisa, but maybe you'll
I
see
feel like
her.
I did one time.
Yeah.
She became my neighbor right before I moved out.
I can't believe it. Tell her that story. That was a great, when we jump off. But yeah, maybe you'll see her. But whether or not we do, I send a special meatless happy birthday to my also veg. Both my sisters are veg. To my sister Lisa, and hopefully you run into her sometime soon. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, give Robin love from us too.
Absolutely. We'll see her soon on a Zoom. Love you guys.